After we moved into our new house, the previous owner called me. I forgot to disconnect one camera. I saw your husband and his mother. Don't tell him. Come alone. The phone almost slipped from my hand. I was standing in the kitchen with my grandmother's blue mug spread across the counter, still wrapped in newspaper, while my husband Malcolm and his mother, Lorraine, measured the doorway to my office like they already knew what belonged there. Lorraine looked up when my phone buzzed. Everything all right, Claire? I pressed the phone to my chest. Wrong number. The man on the line was Rowan Ellis, the former owner. He had lived in the house for nearly 40 years with his late wife. At closing, he had handed me the keys with a red tag and told me he hoped the house would be gentle with me. Now he sounded afraid. Come to my apartment, he had said. Do not bring your husband. Do not mention the camera, please. I told Malcolm I had forgotten shelf pins for the kitchen cabinets. He barely looked at me. He was still holding the tape measure while Lorraine typed notes into her phone. Do not be long, Lorraine said. We have a lot to settle before Sunday. Sunday was supposed to be our housewarming. My housewarming, really. My grandmother's estate and my savings paid for the down payment, and the deed carried only my name. Rowan opened his apartment door before I knocked. A laptop waited on his kitchen table. I am sorry, he said. I disconnected the porch and garage cameras before the sale. I forgot the one in the built-in bookcase. My wife had it installed after a break-in. It still uploads to my old cloud. What did you see? I think you should watch. The footage showed my living room 2 days earlier, while I was at the clinic. Malcolm unlocked the door and let Lorraine inside. She carried a white binder. He carried a box from my office. Lorraine walked straight to the mantel where I had placed my framed state therapy license. She lifted it off the wall and smiled. She is going to be useful for once, she said. Malcolm laughed softly. Do not say it like that. Why not? Her license gets us approved. Your name gets us the house. My program gets us income. Everybody wins. My mouth went dry. On the screen, Malcolm opened the white binder. The front page read Hartwell Family Respite Home. Hartwell was Lorraine's maiden name. My address was underneath it. Lorraine tapped the page. Sunday, we announce it in front of everyone. She hates scenes. Once the pastor, your cousins, and half the neighborhood hear that she agreed to serve as clinical director, she will nod and smile. By Monday, the county thinks we are already operating. Malcolm sat down on my sofa like it was his office. What if she refuses after? Then she looks selfish. She will be the speech therapist who denied care to older adults because she wanted a pretty office. She will be upset. Lorraine gave him a small, cold smile. Claire was made for being upset. Let her be good at it. Rowan paused the video. I stared at the frozen image of my husband and his mother discussing my life like I was a door they needed unlocked. Rowan slid a flash drive across the table. There is more. I saved every clip. They also hid something behind the bookcase. I watched the next clip. Malcolm opened the left bookcase panel. I had not even known it moved. Lorraine placed a sealed envelope inside. Keep it here until Sunday, she said. If she asks, the notary is just for housewarming donation forms. Malcolm nodded. What if she finds out we already used her license number? Lorraine looked toward the hidden camera without knowing it was there. She will not. She never looks where she should. I drove home with my hand over the flash drive. When I walked in, Lorraine was in my office. My grandmother's cedar writing desk had been shoved against another wall. My locked client file box sat on the floor. Malcolm held the framed photo of my grandmother in her garden. This room gets better light than the den, Lorraine said. For intake appointments. I set my purse down slowly. Intake for what? Malcolm turned too fast. Guests. She means guests. Lorraine smiled. Yes, guests. There it was. The first crack after the footage. One word, corrected too quickly. I did not yell. I did not mention the camera. I picked up my grandmother's photo and put it back on the desk. This room stays mine, I said. Lorraine's smile thinned. For now, she said. That night, while Malcolm slept, I opened the left bookcase panel with a butter knife and shaking hands. The envelope was there. Inside were 3 documents. A county application for a residential respite care permit. A notarized statement saying I had agreed to serve as clinical director. A printed biography of me that claimed I had joyfully stepped away from pediatric speech therapy to lead a family-centered care model for senior clients. I had not stepped away from anything. The signature at the bottom looked like mine if you did not know how I write when I am tired, but I knew. The C in Claire was too neat. The loop on Avery was wrong. The notary stamp belonged to a woman named Marta Voss. I photographed everything and put the envelope back exactly where it had been. Then I sat on the kitchen floor with one of my grandmother's blue mugs in both hands and let myself shake. Malcolm came downstairs around 2 in the morning. What are you doing? Could not sleep. He looked at the mug, then the hallway. You are overthinking the house again. Am I? He crouched in front of me. Soft voice, gentle eyes. The version of him I had trusted for 9 years. My mother is excited, he said. She can be intense, but she wants this place to feel like home. Who's home? He blinked. Ours. Nodded because I had learned something that night. A liar relaxes faster when you let him believe he is still believed. The next morning, I called the county licensing office from the parking lot of my clinic. A program coordinator named Marin Pike answered after 2 transfers. I need to know whether an application has been filed under my professional license, I said. For which program? That is what I am trying to find out. She asked for my license number. I gave it to her, then listened to the keyboard taps stop. Mrs. Avery, are you affiliated with Hartwell Family Respite Home? No. A pause. Are you in a place where you can speak privately? Yes. This application lists you as clinical director and property owner. It includes your signed consent and a notarized identity statement. I did not sign anything. Marin went quiet. Then I need you to send that in writing today. I am placing the file on administrative hold. There is also an inspection scheduled for Friday afternoon. Friday was the day before the housewarming. That same afternoon, a contractor called to confirm delivery of adjustable care beds and a wall-mounted medication cabinet. To my house? Yes, ma'am. Mr. Avery said the front room would be cleared by Thursday. Mr. Avery. Malcolm had never been Mr. Avery. He kept his own last name after we married. I asked the contractor to email the confirmation. The note mentioned deposits from waiting families. I forwarded everything to Marin and called a lawyer named Tessa Rowe, who handled licensing and property disputes. I had met her at a continuing education seminar. She remembered me because I had asked too many questions about record keeping. Now she listened while I explained the camera, the forged consent, the inspection, the beds, and the housewarming. When I finished, she said, "Do not cancel Sunday." What? Let them gather the witnesses they want. Before that, we preserve your license, block the inspection, and notify the notary board. I will handle the legal filings. You handle acting normal. I do not know how to do that. You already have been. That evening, Malcolm brought home takeout and told me his mother wanted to invite extra people Sunday. Just community people, he said. Pastor Dean, a county friend of hers. Maybe someone from the neighborhood association. For a housewarming, he kissed my forehead. It is our first real home. Let people celebrate us. By Thursday, the lie had reached my workplace. My clinic director, Dr. Noelle Grant, called me into her office and closed the door. She held a flyer in her hand. "Claire," she said carefully, "are you leaving us?" What? She turned the flyer around. "Hartwell Family Respite Home. Opening soon. Clinical direction by Claire Avery." My professional initials sat under a watercolor drawing of my house. I took the flyer from her. "Where did you get this?" "One of our patients' grandmothers brought it in. She said your mother-in-law gave it to her at church." "Noelle, I did not authorize this." Her expression changed from concern to anger. "Not at me, but for me." "I believe you," she said. "What do you need?" I almost cried at the speed of it. "I need a statement confirming I have not resigned, transferred, or announced any affiliation with this program. You will have it in an hour." Was I wrong for letting Sunday come instead of warning everyone privately and giving Malcolm a graceful way out? I sat in my car with that flyer on my lap and wondered if silence made me cruel, that they had used my name, my home, my license, and my grandmother's money while smiling across my own kitchen table. If you believe a woman does not owe a soft landing to people building a lie out of her life, please give this a like. I needed that courage while I kept pretending the housewarming was only a party. Friday afternoon, the county inspector arrived. Malcolm and Lorraine were not home. They assumed I would still be at work. I opened the door with Tessa on speaker and Marin Pike standing in the driveway. The inspector, Ellis Boone, looked at Marin's hold notice, then at me, then at the paperwork he had been given. "Mrs. Avery, did you submit this inspection request?" "No." "Did you authorize any residential care use of this property?" "No." He wrote that down. Marin stepped inside. She saw the front room half cleared, the wall marks for the medication cabinet, a hidden envelope, and the camera behind the bookcase. Rowan had come with the service manual, looking ashamed and determined. "This device captured the relevant conversations?" Marin asked. "Yes," Rowan said. "We will need a copy." "You will have it." That evening, Malcolm came home carrying flowers. I wondered whether he had ever bought flowers without needing something. "You look exhausted," he said. "Long day." Lorraine arrived behind him with a pale cream dress and a garment bag. "I brought you something appropriate to wear," she said. "You photograph better in lighter colors." "I have clothes." "Not for this kind of announcement." "What announcement?" She patted my cheek. "The one where you finally stop hiding from your own potential." That was her gift, making theft sound like encouragement. Sunday came bright and warm. People arrived with casseroles, potted plants, and compliments about the porch. Malcolm guided guests through the house like a proud owner. Lorraine stood by the fireplace in pearls, accepting praise as if she had built the walls herself. My grandmother's blue mugs sat on the kitchen shelf. I had put them there that morning. All 12 lined up above the sink like witnesses. Rowan arrived quietly and stood near the back door. Tessa came as my friend from work. Marin came officially, though no one knew that yet. Dr. Noelle Grant arrived with a sealed envelope in her purse. Pastor Dean asked me if I was nervous. "I am," I said. He smiled kindly. "Big days do that." Halfway through the party, Lorraine tapped a spoon against a glass. "Everyone," she called. "Gather in. We have something special to share." Malcolm looked at me and held out his hand. I took it, not because I needed him, because I wanted everyone to see exactly when I let go. Lorraine began with a story about service, family, and homes, meant for more than private comfort. She spoke beautifully. That was part of why people believed her. Then she gestured toward me. "Claire has spent her life helping children find their voices. Now she is bringing that gift home, where she will serve as clinical director of Hartwell Family Respite Home." People clapped. My clinic director did not. Lorraine continued, "We already have families waiting. We have county approval nearly complete, and with Claire's guidance, this house will become a place of healing." I took my hand out of Malcolm's. "No," I said. The clapping died unevenly. Lorraine laughed softly. "She is overwhelmed." "No," I repeated. "I am correcting a false statement," Malcolm whispered. "Claire, not now." I looked at him. "You picked now." Tessa stepped forward. "My name is Tessa Rowe. I represent Claire Avery regarding unauthorized use of her professional license, property, and identity." Lorraine's face changed. "This is ridiculous. This is a family celebration." Marin Pike opened her badge wallet. "It is also now part of an active administrative review." Tessa placed copies of the flyer, application, and forged consent statement on the coffee table. "This application was submitted without Claire's authorization," she said. "The county inspection has been halted. The licensing office has been notified. The notary board has been notified." Malcolm looked at me like I had betrayed him. "You brought officials to our home?" "My home," I said. Lorraine lifted her chin. "Claire gets confused when there are too many moving pieces." Malcolm was trying to help her. Dr. Noelle Grant stepped forward and handed Tessa the sealed envelope. "I am Claire's clinic director," she said. "She has not resigned. She has not agreed to lead this program, and she has never shown confusion about professional consent." Marin looked at Lorraine. "Mrs. Hartwell, did you use Claire Avery's license number on the application?" Lorraine answered too quickly. "With her husband's permission." The sentence did more damage than anything I could have said. Marin wrote it down. Then Rowan walked to the television and plugged in the flash drive. I had not planned to show the footage to everyone. Tessa had said we only needed the right people. But Lorraine had just told a room full of neighbors and church friends that I was confused. She had made my reputation part of her defense, so Tessa nodded. Rowan pressed play. The living room appeared on the screen. The same living room everyone was standing inside. Lorraine's recorded voice filled the room. She hates scenes. Once the pastor, your cousins, and half the neighborhood hear that she agreed to serve as clinical director, she will nod and smile. Then Malcolm. What if she refuses after? Then Lorraine. Then she looks selfish. Nobody spoke. The footage continued just long enough to capture the line that finally broke the room open. Claire was made for being upset. Let her be good at it. Lorraine reached for the remote. A neighbor named Bennett Hale moved it out of her reach without a word. Malcolm turned to me. You recorded us? The previous owner's forgotten camera did. Rowan raised a trembling hand. And I am sorry I missed it before the sale, he said, but not sorry it told the truth. Pastor Dean set his glass down. Lorraine, he said quietly, you told us Claire had asked for prayer over a career change. Lorraine's mouth opened. No answer came. The families who had paid deposits demanded refunds. 2 had elderly parents waiting for care. 1 woman cried in my driveway because Lorraine had promised an opening date and taken money from her emergency savings. Tessa made sure the refund claims went to Lorraine and Malcolm, not me. Marin opened a formal investigation. The notary stamp turned out to be copied from an old document in Lorraine's possession. Marta Voss, the real notary, gave a statement saying she had never met me and never notarized that form. Malcolm stayed in the guest room for one night. The next morning, I asked him to leave. He stood by the front door with a duffel bag. Looking less angry now and more young. That almost hurt worse. My mother pushed it too far, he said. You both did. I thought once you saw people needed it, you would agree. You did not want agreement, you wanted momentum. He rubbed his face. We could have done something good. Good does not need forged signatures. He looked toward the kitchen shelves. I loved you, Claire. I believed some version of him did. But love that treats consent like a delay is not safe enough to live with. You loved how easy I was to speak for, I said. He left without answering. Lorraine tried to fight longer. She sent a letter through a family friend saying I was destroying Malcolm's future and humiliating an older woman who only wanted purpose. Tessa answered with the county hold notice, the footage transcript, the forged notary complaint, and the deposit records. Lorraine stopped writing. I kept the house. There was no real fight once the deed, down payment records, and protective filings were clear. Malcolm asked for some furniture and the dining table. I let him take the table. I did not want to eat at it again. Rowan came over after everything settled to remove the camera. I should have remembered, he said. You remembered in time? He handed me the old camera. It belongs to you now. I held the small square of black plastic in my palm. It was ugly and ordinary and had saved my life from becoming someone else's paperwork. I kept it in a blue mug at the back of my office shelf, not because I wanted to live watched, but because I wanted to remember that proof can be small and still hold a whole house upright. In the fall, I turned the front room back into my office. My grandmother's cedar desk went under the window. The framed license returned to the wall. The blue mug stayed in the kitchen, and every Saturday morning I used one for coffee before working in the garden. I planted tomatoes first because that had been the plan before everything. Then rosemary. Then hydrangeas along the fence because my grandmother always said a house needs something that blooms without asking permission. One afternoon, Dr. Noelle Grant stopped by with a folder. Inside was a proposal for a clinic fund for children whose families could not afford speech therapy. She asked if I wanted it named after me. No, I said. Then I looked through the window at the garden, at the house my grandmother helped me keep, at the shelves where 12 blue mugs waited for guests who would never need to lie to be welcome. Name it after my grandmother. The first award went out in December. A little boy named Mateo received 6 months of therapy support. His mother cried in my office and hugged me so tightly I almost spilled coffee on both of us. After they left, I took the old camera out of the mug and set it beside the framed fund letter. For a moment, I thought about the woman I had been on the day Rowan called, standing in a half-unpacked kitchen, trusting too many people to love me honestly. Then I thought about the woman I was now, not harder, clearer. That evening, I locked the front door, set my grandmother's blue mug in the sink, and turned off the office light. The house settled around me, quiet and mine, while the first frost silvered the hydrangeas outside the window.